London was sleeping. Not peacefully, but the way old cities sleep, like exhausted kings pretending they are immortal. In the final hours before dawn, the streets of London breathed smoke, mud, river fog, and secrets. The Thames rolled quietly beneath wooden bridges blackened by centuries of rain. Taverns still glowed with dying candlelight. Somewhere in the distance, a drunk sailor laughed. Somewhere else, a church bell echoed over empty streets. And inside the Tower of London, a prisoner waited for morning. No one remembers his name now. History remembers kings, generals, fires, but not the men who disappear behind stone walls. For years, he had watched the world through iron bars no wider than a human hand. Seasons came and went without permission. Winters froze the stones beneath his feet. Summers filled the cell with the smell of mold and sweat and damp straw. Time inside the tower did not move forward, it rotted. And yet, beyond those walls, London believed itself eternal. That was the illusion of the 17th century. The city was alive with ambition. Ships arrived from across the world carrying silk, tobacco, gold, disease, stories, and death. Merchants became richer than noblemen. Churches reached toward heaven, while the poor slept beside rats in flooded alleys. London was becoming something new, something bigger than itself. But cities built too quickly begin to forget how fragile they are. Wood dries, streets narrow, people stop looking upward. And somewhere, in a bakery on Pudding Lane, a single ember fell. Small, almost beautiful, no louder than a whisper. No one noticed it at first. That was the terrifying thing about disasters in the old world. They did not arrive like armies. They arrived quietly. A spark beneath dry straw, a forgotten candle, a moment of carelessness at the end of a long day. And then the fire breathed. At first, it crawled slowly across the bakery floor like a living animal learning how to walk. Orange light flickered against sleeping walls. Smoke gathered beneath ceiling beams blackened by years of heat. Outside, London still slept. Inside the tower, the prisoner sat beside a dying candle, writing what he believed would be his final words. Perhaps to a wife, perhaps to a son, perhaps to no one. His hands trembled as the bells began ringing across the city. Not church bells, alarm bells, the kind that change history forever. Far away, people woke to the smell of smoke drifting beneath their doors. Children sat upright in bed while windows glowed orange against the darkness. Men stumbled into alleyways half-dressed, confused, still believing the fire could be stopped. But London had been waiting to burn for years. The streets were too tight. The houses leaned too close together. Entire districts were built from dry timber, soaked in decades of smoke and heat. Tar, oil, straw, cloth, the city itself had become fuel. And then the wind arrived. That was the moment everything changed. The flames climbed upward with terrifying hunger. Roofs ignited one after another. Sparks crossed the streets faster than men could run. Smoke rolled across London like storm clouds swallowing the moon. People screamed for water, but buckets became meaningless against a city-sized inferno. Inside the tower, guards rushed through stone corridors, shouting orders no one could hear clearly. Ash drifted through prison halls like gray snow.
The prisoner stepped toward the tiny window in his cell for the first time in hours. And there it was, London burning. Not one building, not one street, the entire horizon. Even from miles away, the flames painted the night sky red. He had dreamed of freedom for years, but not like this.
Outside the tower walls, panic spread faster than fire. Families flooded the streets carrying whatever they could hold: silver cups, blankets, children, cages filled with terrified animals. Horses broke free from wagons and vanished into smoke. Priests dragged church relics through screaming crowds, while merchants abandoned entire fortunes in the mud. Gold lost its meaning that night. Only survival mattered. And still, the fire kept growing. The heat became unbearable. People standing streets away felt their skin burn beneath their clothes. Church bells melted inside towers. Windows exploded outward into crowded roads. Entire rooftops collapsed without warning, burying families beneath waves of sparks and timber. London no longer looked human, it looked apocalyptic. The prisoner listened to the city die, one sound at a time: the roar of fire, the collapse of beams, the screams. Then something else: silence. Not complete silence, but the silence that appears when human beings realize they are powerless. For the first time in years, the prisoner understood something strange. The walls around him no longer mattered, because outside those walls, everyone was trapped now. The tower had once represented fear, authority, punishment, but tonight the entire city had become a prison. Smoke poured into the corridors as guards abandoned their posts. Somewhere deeper inside the tower, iron gates slammed shut. Somewhere above, a wooden beam cracked beneath the heat. The prisoner walked slowly toward his cell door, and then the lock broke. Not dramatically, not heroically, just a tired piece of rusted iron finally giving up. For years he had prayed for freedom. Now freedom arrived wrapped in fire and ash. He stepped into the corridor. No guard stopped him. No one even noticed. That was the cruelest irony of all. A man forgotten by the world became invisible at the exact moment the world itself began collapsing. Outside the tower, London had transformed into hell. Flames leapt between rooftops like waves across an ocean. Entire districts vanished beneath smoke, so thick it turned morning into darkness. The Thames reflected the inferno like liquid gold. People ran without direction, without plans, without hope. Some prayed, some stole, some abandoned their own families in blind panic. Disaster reveals things civilization normally hides: fear, cowardice, love, selfishness. All of it rises to the surface when survival becomes uncertain. The prisoner wandered through the chaos slowly, almost calmly. For years he had imagined freedom as sunlight, open fields, fresh air. But freedom did not arrive beautifully, it arrived screaming. A mother stood frozen beside a burning home, unable to choose between saving her child or saving the last valuables her family owned. A nobleman dropped gold coins into the mud while crowds stepped over them without looking down. Priests blessed the dying beside streets already consumed by flame. And above all of it, the fire kept moving, relentless, hungry, alive. Then came the explosions. The docks ignited first. Gunpowder hidden inside warehouses erupted with enough force to shake the city itself. Windows shattered across entire districts. Smoke climbed into the heavens in black spirals. Even the tower trembled. The prisoner stopped in the middle of an ash-covered street and looked upward. The sky no longer resembled night. It resembled the end of the world. And still, somehow, London continued breathing. That is the strange thing about cities. They behave like living organisms. They suffer, they rot, they survive.
Hours passed, or maybe minutes.
Time became meaningless beneath the firestorm. By dawn, entire neighborhoods were gone. Cathedrals collapsed inward like dying giants. Libraries burned so completely that centuries of human thought vanished into the air as ash. Families wandered through ruins, searching for voices that would never answer again. The prisoner entered a burned house whose walls still stood barely upright. Inside, a dinner table remained untouched. Bread, wine, wooden chairs, an ordinary moment frozen forever in the middle of catastrophe. That was when the scale of the tragedy became real. Not through the burning skyline, not through the explosions, but through absence. Every abandoned object meant someone had vanished. The fire eventually slowed, not because humanity defeated it, but because there was finally less left to burn. Rain mixed with smoke, dawn pushed weakly through the clouds. Survivors emerged from hiding places coated in ash and silence. London was unrecognizable. The streets had become graveyards of timber and stone. Black smoke drifted across ruins still warm beneath the morning air. Church towers stood hollow against the horizon like broken teeth. And through all of it, the prisoner walked free. No chains, no guards, no cell, just emptiness. For years, he believed the tower had stolen his life, but now he understood something terrifying. The world outside those walls had never truly been free either. Kings ruled through fear, churches ruled through guilt, money ruled through desperation. People built invisible prisons everywhere and then spent entire lifetimes pretending not to see them. The fire eventually slowed, not because humanity defeated it, but because there was finally less left to burn. Rain mixed with smoke, dawn pushed weakly through the clouds. Survivors emerged from hiding places coated in ash and silence. London was unrecognizable. The streets had become graveyards of timber and stone. Black smoke drifted across ruins still warm beneath the morning air. Church towers stood hollow against the horizon like broken teeth. And through all of it, the prisoner walked free. No chains, no guards, no cell, just emptiness. For years, he believed the tower had stolen his life, but now he understood something terrifying. The world outside those walls had never truly been free either. Kings ruled through fear, churches ruled through guilt, money ruled through desperation. People built invisible prisons everywhere and then spent entire lifetimes pretending not to see them. The fire eventually slowed, not because humanity defeated it, but because there was finally less left to burn. Rain mixed with smoke, dawn pushed weakly through the clouds. Survivors emerged from hiding places coated in ash and silence. London was unrecognizable. The streets had become graveyards of timber and stone. Black smoke drifted across ruins still warm beneath the morning